Hello viewers, my name is Dr. Rajay, Associate Professor from the Department of ECE, IARE Engineering College, Hyderabad. So today we are going to discuss the topic feeding methods of microstrip antennas and applications of microstrip antennas. So today's topic is feeding methods of microstrip antennas and the advantages, disadvantages and applications of the microstrip antennas. So let us start our session. So the feeding methods of microstrip antennas. In the feeding methods of microstrip antennas, there are basically two types of feeding methods. The first one is contacting feed and the second one is non-contacting feed. So in the contacting feed methods, the RF power is fed directly to the radiating patch using connecting elements such as microstrip line or coaxial feed lines. So in the contacting feed, so what we are going to do is we are going to excite the patch antenna directly. We are going to excite. We are going to give the input signal directly to the patch antenna by means of a transmission lines. By means of a transmission line, so which may be a microstrip line or it may be a coaxial feed. That means if you take this as a patch antenna, this is the patch. So in contacting feed system, in the contacting feed method, so this is a transmission line. That means there is a direct contact. There is a direct contact between the patch and the transmission line. Hence we call it as a contacting feed. Hence we are going to use the name specified as a contacting feed. That means here the RF power, it is fed directly to the radiating patch. It is fed directly to the radiating patch. So by using some connection elements such as a microstrip line, or this may be like a coaxial cable, coaxial line also we can use as a feeding transmission line to the patch antenna. And the other one is, the other method of feeding the patch antenna is, it is a non-contacting feed. Non-contacting feed means we are not directly feeding the patch antenna. We are going to give the input signal to the patch antenna in an indirect method. That means the RF power is not directly fed to the patch antenna. We are going to use some different approaches to give the RF power to the patch antenna in an indirect method. That means by the process of electromagnetic coupling, we are giving the input signal to the patch. That means if you take here a patch antenna, right? So in between there is a substrate here. If we give some input signal to the substrate, this element, this patch antenna will some heat is produced in the patch antenna, and the radiation starts from the patch antenna. And the radiation happens from the patch antenna. So you can see here, if this is a patch and if this is a dielectric substrate here, epsilon r, if you give some input signal to this dielectric substrate, if you give some input power, RF input power to the dielectric substrate, from this dielectric substrate the heat is given to some heat is produced to the patch antenna, and some heat is absorbed by the patch antenna. Then the radiation starts occur from the patch antenna. What you can observe here is, we are not giving the RF input power directly to the patch. So we are giving the input power to the substrate only. From the substrate, the input signal is going to the patch. The patch is getting heated. After the patch is getting heated, the radiation is going to occur. That means the electric fields will be radiated from the patch after the absorption of heat from the substrate. So the most commonly used methods or non-contacting methods are aperture coupled and the proximity coupled feed. So here we are going to use in non-contacting methods. There are two types of feeding methods which we use by the process of non-contacting feeding method. Among them, the popular methods are aperture feeding method and the proximity coupled feed. So either it may be a contacting feed or non-contacting feed. So both the cases are having some advantages, some disadvantages, and some limitations also. Right? So in contacting feed, there are both advantages and disadvantages and limitations. And at the same time, in the non-contacting feed also, we are having some types of limitations also in the non-contacting feed. But there are more advantages in a non-contacting feed compared to the contacting feed. Right? So which we will discuss about what are the methods which we are going to use in the contacting feed. So which we are going to use in the non-contacting feed, we will see some methods. So what is this electromagnetic coupling? So here, this electromagnetic coupling we have seen in the Yagi-Uda antenna also. So in the Yagi-Uda antenna also, we have observed the electromagnetic coupling. That means in the Yagi-Uda antenna, what we have observed here is, here there is a driven element, and here there is a reflector, and here there is a director. We are giving the input signal, we are giving the RF input supply only to the driven element only to the driven element only. So when the input signal is given to the only the driven element, as this director and the reflector are very close to this dipole antenna, some amount of flux is induced into these two adjacent elements, into this element. So due to some magnetic flux is induced inside the element of director 1, some voltage is induced and some electric field is also produced. Some electric field is also produced to the director 1 and also to the reflector also. Okay, that means what we observed here is the reflector antenna and the director, we are not giving the input supply directly. This input power is taken from the driven element by the electromagnetic process, by the coupling of electromagnetic fields. Right? So this is known as electromagnetic coupling. That means that some amount of voltage gets induced into the director 1 and the reflector. And these director 1 and the reflector, we call it as a parasitic elements. That means the parasitic element is one where the input is not given directly, but the input is given in an indirect method, in an indirect way. So this is known as electromagnetic coupling. By the process of electromagnetic coupling, some voltage gets induced into this element D1 and also the reflector also. The same process is being applied in the non-contacting feed also. The same process is being applied in the non-contacting feed method also. So in the non-contacting feed method, what we are going to do is, we are not directly giving the input signal to the patch antenna. We are giving the input signal to the patch antenna in an indirect way. Either we can give the supply RF input power to the substrate. Sometimes we can give the input RF supply to the ground plane also, so that the patch gets heated and produces radiations from the ends of the patch antenna. We will see the one by one what are the different types of contacting feeds. We shall see what are the different methods of non-contacting feeds and what are the advantages and limitations. So in contacting feed, there are two types. One is a microstrip feed, the other one is coaxial feed. So one is the microstrip feed method. The second one is coaxial feed method. Here in the microstrip feed, it is again divided into different types of feeding lines. That means we can give the input signal in terms of microstrip feeding, in terms of a center feed, offset feed, inset feed, and quarter wave line feed. So in the feed methods of microstrip antennas, so if this is a patch antenna, you can see here this is a patch antenna. So this is known as the center feed. So the microstrip feed and the coaxial feed are two different methods which you are going to give the RF input directly to the patch antenna. So again, this microstrip feed can be categorized as four types. One is center feed, second one is offset feed, the third one is inset feed, the fourth one is quarter wave line feed. The center feed, offset feed, inset feed, and quarter wave line feed. So these are the four different types of feeding techniques we are having in case of microstrip feed. and the second one is coaxial feed. So in a non-contacting feed, we are having two types of feeding methods. The first one is aperture feeding. The second one is proximity coupled feed. So we'll see what are these four types and what are these two types through some diagrams on the display. You can see here. So what is the type of center feed and offset feed here? So what we are going to do in the center feed here? So you can observe here the transmission line, the input transmission line is exactly placed at the center of the patch antenna. In the offset feed system, the transmission line it is placed at the end of the patch antenna. So these are two different methods of feeding the patch. So you can observe here, you can feed the transmission line not only at the center, you can also feed the transmission line also at the ends of the patch antenna. But see that whenever we are going to place the transmission line exactly, either it may be the center, either it may be at the offset at the end portion of the patch, see that there must be some impedance matching between the transmission line and also the patch antenna. That means the impedance of the transmission line must be exactly matching to the impedance of the patch. Antenna. So depending, you can move this center. No, you can move this transmission line in this direction or in this direction until the impedance of this transmission line gets matched to the impedance of this patch. Right? So the impedance of this patch must be equal to the impedance of this transmission line. So if you want to feed the center feed, you should take a transmission line in such a way that the impedance of the patch must be equal to the impedance of the transmission line. That means if the impedance of this is 77 ohms, suppose the impedance of this transmission line is 77 ohms, then the impedance of this patch must be equivalent to around 77 ohms only. So you should take, if anything has to be changed, right? If the antenna impedance, if the patch antenna impedance is taken as 100 ohms, if there is a mismatch between the method. In this center feed method, if you use a transmission line of 77 ohms and if the patch antenna impedance is 100 ohms, then the radiation efficiency decreases. There is a mismatch between the transmission line impedance and the patch antenna impedance. So due to this mismatch of impedance, what is going to happen is the radiation efficiency will decrease. So always, whenever we want to give the RF input power exactly at the center of the transmission line, exactly at the center of the patch antenna, see that the patch antenna impedance must be equivalent to the transmission line impedance. Right? So either you need to change either the transmission line or the patch antenna in case of center feed system. Right? So you can change the 77 ohms to the 100 ohms transmission line. You can change the impedance of the transmission line from 77 ohms cable to the 100 ohms cable. So you can, in market, more different types of cables are available depending upon the impedance. So you can ask 75 ohms cable, you can ask 100 ohms cable, you can ask 50 ohms coaxial cable in the market. So depending upon our requirement, you need to buy. So what type of line is required for our patch antenna? So as already we have designed the patch antenna with impedance of 100 ohms. With impedance of 100 ohms, we have designed a patch antenna. Hence, the transmission line impedance must be 100 ohms. So we need to take an impedance from the market which is 100 ohms. Right? So if you want to feed at the center. And here you can also observe in the offset feed system. In the offset feed system, what we are going to do here is we are going to feed the transmission line at the end of the patch. We are going to feed the transmission line at the end of the patch. You can also feed this transmission line in the offset feed here also. You can also feed this end also. This is known as the offset feed system. And one of the basic advantage in this offset feed system is you can change you can move this transmission line from this end to this end. So wherever exactly the impedance matching is possible, at that location we can fix the transmission line to the patch antenna. We can fix the transmission line to the patch antenna. So we need to move slowly this transmission line to here, and we need to check whether the impedance at this location is matching to the transmission line. Suppose you can say here, suppose if this is a transmission line, its impedance is 77 ohms, and its impedance of the patch is 80 ohms. So let us say the impedance is 80 ohms, the impedance of the patch. So you move this patch towards this corner. When you move this transmission line to this corner, see that the impedance of this, when you move this transmission line, the impedance becomes 80 ohms. So exactly there is a matching between the transmission line and the patch antenna impedance. There is a impedance matching between the transmission line and the patch antenna impedance. So this is one of the basic advantage in offset feed system. So we can move the transmission lines depending upon our requirement, depending upon the impedance matching. So where exactly the impedance matching is available, we can modify the structure of the patch antenna. So these are the two different types of feeding methods we are having by means of a microstrip feeding. So these are two different types of microstrip feeding. And insert feed. The purpose of the insert cut in the patch is to match the feed line's impedance to the patch without a need for any additional matching element. Right. So here, for the purpose of impedance matching, so what we are going to do here is we are going to insert the transmission line. We are going to cut the patch antenna, and inside the patch antenna we are going to place the transmission line directly. Right. So without need for any additional matching element, any additional matching element. So what we are going to do is we are going to cut some portion. We are going to cut some portion and injecting the transmission line into the patch. So this method we call it as insert feed system. This method we call it as insert feed system. The purpose of the insert cut in the patch is to match the feed line's impedance to the match without the need for any additional matching element. So this is the patch and this is the substrate, and here underground there will be a ground plane. There will be a ground plane also is available here. So these are the different types of feeding techniques of microstrip antennas based upon the microstrip lines. The another method which we are going to design the transmission line is a quarter wave line feed. So quarter wave line feed, this is the microstrip antenna can also be matched to a transmission line of characteristic impedance Z0 by using a quarter wave transmission line of characteristic impedance Z1 as shown below. So what we are going to do here is we are going to initially select a transmission line. We are going to select a transmission line. So based upon the transmission line characteristic impedance, we are going to design the patch antenna. We are going to take a patch antenna which is similar to the impedance of the transmission line. That means already the impedance is predefined. Here the characteristic impedance it is given by Z1 square by ZA. So Z0 is the characteristic impedance. The impedance taken at any point over the transmission line, we call it as a characteristic impedance. So the microstrip antenna can also be matched to a transmission line of characteristic impedance Z0 by using a quarter wave transmission line of characteristic impedance Z1. Right. So here we are having two types of lines here. Right. So here two types of transmission lines we are having. So one is a transmission line with characteristic impedance Z0. The other one line, this is also a transmission line which we have used as where Z1, the characteristic impedance of this transmission line is taken as Z1 by 4. Right. So here the transmission line characteristic impedance taken as Z0, and another transmission line is induced or attached to this transmission line. So two types of different transmission lines have been used here as a feeding element for this patch antenna. So initially the characteristic impedance of the transmission line is given by Z1 square by ZA. Z1 square by ZA. So by using a quarter wave transmission line of characteristic impedance is Z1. Right, so here the transmission line, it is the characteristic impedance of the transmission line is taken as lambda by 4, quarter wave line. So this portion, the length is taken as lambda by 4 line. The transmission line length is taken as lambda by 4 transmission line, and whose characteristic impedance of this quarter wave line is defined as Z1. Right, so the Z0 is equal to Z1 square by ZA. So this is how to match the impedance, this is one method for impedance matching between the transmission line and the patch antenna, right? So, after designing the patch antenna, we need to match the impedance of the patch antenna with respect to the transmission line. So these are the 4 different methods of feeding techniques. So in the first method, what we have seen is, the center feed system, where the transmission line is exactly inserted at the center of the patch antenna. This is first method. And in the second method, what we are going to do is, we are going to insert, this is known as offset feed system. We are going to insert the transmission line at the end portion of the patch antenna. So this is one method. And the third method is, we are going to inject directly inside the patch. That is, the transmission line is inserted to inside the patch. So this is method, we call it as inset feed system. This is known as inset, this is known as offset, this is known as center feed. And this is the fourth one, that is the quarter wave line feed system. So the quarter wave line feed system, where Z0 is equal to Z1 square by ZA. Z0 is equal to Z1 square by ZA. So this type of transmission line is used to balance the impedance between the transmission line and the patch antenna. And the next one is coaxial feed. That means in the contacting method, there is another one. In the contacting feed, so we are going to use another method which is known as the coaxial feed. So here in this method, what we are going to do is, the inner conductor of the coaxial connector extends through the dielectric through a metal contact with the patch, and the outer conductor of the cable is connected to the ground plane as shown in the figure. So now the probe is in direct contact with the antenna, and it is located at the point where the antenna input is 50 ohms. So this feed method is very easy to fabricate and has low spurious radiations. However, its major advantage is that it is connected to the ground plane connector. So here what we are going to do is, externally we are going to use one coaxial cable. And on the patch, directly the inner conductor of the coaxial cable is attached to the patch, and another conductor, that is the external conductor of the coaxial cable, it is attached to the ground plane. That means the inner conductor of the coaxial cable extends through the dielectric, making a metal contact with the patch. That means we need to insert a hole. That means if this is the patch is located on the top portion of the dielectric substrate, and if this is the ground plane, right? So in order to give the input signal, what we are going to do is, we are going to make a hole here for the patch, and for this patch, along this from the ground plane, and if this is the transmission line, one conductor, it is connected here, the other conductor is connected to the ground plane here. This is the ground plane here, and one inner conductor, this is the inner conductor here. It is connected directly to the patch by making a hole to the patch. So by making a hole from the patch to the dielectric substrate to the ground plane. So a hole must be made from the patch to the dielectric substrate and to the ground plane, so that the inner conductor of the coaxial cable can be inserted to the patch directly, and the other conductor of the coaxial cable is attached to the outer conductor, that is to the ground plane. So this is one method. This method we call it as a feed method. This feed method is very easy to fabricate. This feed method, it is very easy to the to fabricate. That means here you can observe here in this method coaxial cable. In this coaxial method, so you need to make a hole for not only the for the dielectric substrate, for the dielectric. So from the dielectric, the cable has to enter, right? So here, if this is the patch, so here a slot is made here, a slot, a circular slot, which can be injected a coaxial cable to this slot. So this is known as a slot hole. This is known as the slot hole, which is directed to the patch, which is directed to the patch here. And this is the ground plane here. And here this is the coaxial line or coaxial feed here. And this is the inner conductor. And this inner conductor, it enters from this slot, circular slot, through the dielectric substrate into the patch. So now this inner conductor is in direct contact to the patch, and this external conductor is connected to the ground plane. This external conductor or the outer conductor, it is connected to the ground plane. So this is known as the contacting feed method by means of the coaxial feed transmission line. So here the probe is in direct contact. The coaxial probe, we call it as a probe. The coaxial cable, we call it as a probe. It is in direct contact with the antenna, and it is located at the point where the antenna input is 50 ohms. And it is located at the point where the antenna input is 50 ohms. And see that the antenna input impedance and the transmission line input impedance must be matching in this case also. So in this case also, the patch antenna, whenever you are going to put a hole in the substrate, see that you keep a hole exactly at a location where the input impedance of the antenna and the impedance of the transmission line must be matching, right? So you can include a hole at any place where the impedance must be matching, right? So you can also include a hole here also. To the patch antenna. So now one of the basic advantage of this method is it is easy to fabricate and has low spurious radiations. So it is easy to fabricate and has low spurious radiations. However, its major disadvantage is it is connected to the ground plane connector. So one of the major disadvantages is it is connected to the ground plane connector. So we need to connect it to the ground plane one conductor. The other conductor has to be given to the patch antenna. This is one of the major disadvantages for this coaxial feed of the contacting feed methods. Now let us go for the non-contacting method. So in the non-contacting method, the first one is the aperture coupled feed. So in the aperture feed technique, it consists of two dielectric substrates. So basically, a microstrip antenna is designed with only one dielectric substrate. But in the non-contacting feed, we are going to design the microstrip antenna based upon two dielectric substrates. Namely, antenna dielectric substrate and feed dielectric substrate. So the two different types of substrates have been used for designing the microstrip antenna for the method of non-contacting feed. So in the aperture coupled feed method, we are going to use we are going to place the patch on the antenna dielectric substrate, and there is another substrate is placed which is known as a feed dielectric substrate. These dielectric substrates are separated by the ground plane, which has a slot at its center. That means here, if this is a patch here, suppose if this is a patch here there is one substrate here which is known as epsilon R1, and here there is another substrate which is known as epsilon R2, another substrate here, and these two substrates are separated by the ground plane. This is known as the ground plane here. So a ground plane is separates this ground plane will separate these two dielectric substrates, that is epsilon R1 and epsilon R2, which has a slot at its center. That means along this ground plane a slot is made here. That means a slot is nothing but a hole. A hole is made in the ground plane between these two substrates, that is epsilon R1 and epsilon R2. The metal patch is placed on the top of the antenna substrate. So this is known as the antenna substrate here. Right? So through this hole, we are going to feed this slot. we are going to apply some input signal. We are going to apply the input signal for the slot which is made in the ground plane. We are going to give some RF input power to this slot only. And here you can observe here, you are not giving directly the RF input power in contact to the patch antenna. So below the patch antenna, there is a dielectric substrate. You can observe here, epsilon R1. So this is a dielectric substrate. So we are not giving the RF input power through the feeding line directly to the patch antenna. By means of this slot or by means of this hole, the radiation or the input signal will touch the surface of the patch. That means there exists an electromagnetic coupling. Between this slot and this patch antenna. And here some heat is produced to this patch from this slot. Some heat is absorbed by this patch through this slot. And this radiation will happen from this patch antenna into the free space. So here what we can observe here is we are not giving directly the input power to the patch. So here this is the method. You can see here. This is one substrate and this is another substrate. And this is known as the ground plane here. So between these two substrates are separated by the ground plane here. And in between these two planes, a hole is made here. The ground plane is placed on the other side of the antenna dielectric. The feed dielectric and the feed line are placed on the other side of the ground to provide isolation. So isolation means separation. The separation of these two substrates is made from the ground plane or made from the ground plane. So here there is a microstrip antenna here. That means this is the side view here. This is the side from the side view. So from the side view, it is appearing there is microstrip antenna here. From the top view, what we are going to do is we are going to give the input like this directly from the RF input power. From this slot, from this hole or aperture or a small hole, and some heat is supplied to the patch through the substrate of epsilon R2, and this patch starts radiating. So this is known as the radiating patch. And see that whenever you are going to design this type of antenna, epsilon R2 value must be less than epsilon R1 value. That means the top substrate value must be less than the bottom substrate. The dielectric material which we use in the lower surface must be very high compared to the top substrate. So this is one of the design requirement for feeding methods of microstrip antenna by means of aperture coupled feeding. And the second one is proximity coupled feed. So proximity coupled feed, two dielectric substrates are used in this technique to place the feed line between the two substrates, and the radiating patch is located on the top of the upper substrate. So here this is another method of proximity coupled feed. Here two dielectric substrates are used in this technique. To place the feed line between the two substrates. Between the two substrates, and the radiating patch is located on the top of the substrates. Right. So here what we are going to do here is there is a substrate is taken here, and this is another type of substrate here. Right. And a feed line is located here exactly at the center of the two substrates here. And the radiating patch is located on the top of the upper substrate. So this is the upper substrate. This is the lower substrate. And this is the ground plane here. And this is the patch antenna here. Right? So this is the feed line is placed between the two substrates. A feed line is placed between the two substrates. This is known as a proximity coupled feed. This method we call it as a proximity coupled feed, where two substrates are used, different substrates are used, and a microstrip line is induced or incorporated between these two substrates. So this is one substrate epsilon R1, Okay, are used in this technique to place the feed line between the two substrates. Right? So two different substrates are used here. Two different substrates are used here. This is epsilon R2. So one of the main benefits of this feeding technique is that it eliminates spurious feed radiation and offers a very high bandwidth. And this scheme also provides an alternative between two different dielectric media. So one for the match and the other for the feed line. So the main benefit of this feeding technique is it eliminates spurious feed radiations. So unwanted radiations can be avoided by this method and offers very high bandwidth compared to the other techniques. And this scheme also provides an alternative between two different dielectric media, one for the patch and the other for the feed line. And the main drawback for this feeding scheme is it is complex to manufacture because both the dielectric layers need to be properly aligned. Right. So here one of the basic drawback of this method is we are going to use here in this method two different dielectrics. We need to design in such a way that these two dielectric layers must be aligned properly. And at the same time, the transmission line has to be fixed properly between these two dielectric layers. So this is one of the major drawback where the complexity increases in the design of this microstrip antenna by this proximity coupled feed method. So what are the basic advantages of microstrip antennas? So they operate at microwave frequencies where traditional antennas are not feasible to be designed. So they operate at microwave frequencies around 200 MHz, 300 MHz or 500 MHz. These microstrip antennas work in this frequency range. This antenna type has a smaller size. That means these are known as low profile antennas. These are known as low profile antennas which are having small size and a small weight. And hence these can be easily used for very small in smaller devices. That means which are devices whose requirement is small. Devices like mobile handle, like mobile devices. The main primary requirement of mobile devices is the antenna must be very less. The size of the antenna is more, then the size of the mobile device has to be increased. Right. So hence, due to these smaller size, microstrip antennas also can be used in the mobile devices also. So as the patch antennas are fed along center line to symmetry, it minimizes excitation of other undesired modes. As the patch antennas are fed along center line to symmetry, it minimizes excitation of other undesired modes. So the microstrip patches of various shapes, rectangular, square, rectangular, etc., can be easily etched. So etching is nothing but it is the process of photolithography. Right, so these microstrip antennas can be easily printed on the circuit board by the process of etching or by the process of photolithography. They have lower fabrication costs and hence they can be mass manufactured. As it can be printed easily on the printed circuit board by applying some latest technologies, the cost is very less, the fabrication cost is very less, right? They are capable of supporting multiple frequency bands. So these microstrip antennas can be designed in such a way that they can be grouped in the form of arrays also. That's a dual or triple. So these microstrip antennas can be this is a single microstrip antenna. We can also use dual microstrip antenna or triple microstrip antennas also. They support dual polarization types like linear and circular both. Dual polarization. So the dual polarization means the electric fields will be added simultaneously by arranging the two or more microstrip antennas in the form of an array. So these are light in weight. This is one of the basic advantage of microstrip antennas. And they are robust when mounted on rigid surfaces of the devices. So they are robust, means they are very efficient when mounted on the rigid surfaces of the devices. Rather than placing these antennas inside the mobile, if we place these antennas on the external surface of the device, this will work effectively. Suppose if you take an aeroplane or aircrafts or missiles, you place these on the external surface of the spacecrafts or any aircrafts, this radiation efficiency increases. The radiation efficiency of this antenna can be proved that it has been proved that the radiation, the amount of energy that is being captured by these types of antennas is larger when we place these antennas in an externally when we mount these microchip antennas on the external surface of the aircraft or spacecrafts, the radiation absorption will be more. And these are the disadvantages of microchip antennas. The spurious radiation exists in various microstrip-based antennas, such as microstrip patch antennas, microstrip slot antennas, and printed dipole antennas. Right, so some spurious radiations means some unwanted radiations exist in some types of antennas, like microstrip patch antenna, microstrip slot antenna, and printed dipole antenna. So whenever we are going to make feed methods, like by making a slot or by making a hole to the dielectric substrate, from the hole there will be some spurious radiations also. So whenever we are going to make a hole in a proximity coupled feed and also aperture coupled feed, we are going to make a hole between the two substrates. Between the two substrates, we are creating a slot for inserting the transmission line. So though the method is having some advantage, it is also having some disadvantage that there will be some loss of radiation, like spurious radiation losses. There will be some dielectric losses which will have decrease the efficiency of the antenna, and there will be some conductor losses also, as we are going to insert the conductor into the slot. There will be some conductor losses also. So along with it, there will be some dielectric losses also. So it offers low gain. It has a higher level of cross polarization radiation. It has higher level of cross polarization. It has a lower power handling capability. So more amount of input power cannot be given to the these type of microchip antennas. So it cannot handle a large amount of power. It has inherently lower impedance bandwidth. The microchip antenna structure radiates from fields and other junction points also. Right, so from other, not only along the W side, so we can also at the edge corners also the radiation happens. At the edge corners of the patch also, at the other junction points also, the radiation is possible for this microchip antennas. And we'll see the applications of microchip antennas. In the communication-based applications, they are so popular. So the microchip patch antenna finds several applications in wireless communications. So in wireless communications, these types of rectangular patch antennas or square patch antennas have become very popular in various types of applications in the wireless communication. So for example, satellite communication requires circularly polarized radiation patterns, so which can be realized using either square or circular patch microchip antenna. So most of the satellite communication applications where circular polarized radiation pattern is necessary, we can design the microchip antenna based upon the shape. We can decide the shape of the microchip antenna. We can design, that is a circle shaped microchip antenna or square shaped microchip antenna. It's very easy to design and use for applications of satellite communications. So for satellite communications, we can use the helical antenna also. So helical antenna also produces a circularly polarized radiation pattern. Circularly polarized radiation pattern a helical antenna will produce. At the same time, but we choose microstrip antenna rather than helical antenna. Why? Because helical antenna, its size is very high, and its weight is also very high. So for small devices, we cannot use the helical antenna. The best choice for us is microstrip antenna, a circular patch microstrip antenna, which produces a circularly polarized waves, which is a primary requirement for satellite communications. And also we can also use these microchip antennas for GPS systems, where global positioning satellite systems, where circularly polarized microchip antennas are used. So in global positioning satellite systems also, in GPS systems also, our primary requirement is the absorption of circularly polarized waves, or for transmitting circularly polarized waves, for transmitting and receiving circularly polarized waves. And these types of circular microchip antennas can be designed easily for these satellite GPS systems. And they are very compact in size and quite expensive due to their positioning. So they are compact in size and quite expensive due to their positioning. And another applications of microchip antennas are where we use in RFID, that is mobile communication and healthcare also. So microchip antennas are also used in the fields of RFID, radio frequency identification, and also the mobile communication and the healthcare. Basically, an RFID, that is a radio frequency ID system, consists of a tag and a reader Generally, it uses frequencies between 30 Hz and 5.8 GHz. So this is one of the application of microchip antenna where we use in RFID devices, in mobile communications and healthcare systems. So an RFID system consists of a tag and a reader. Generally, it uses frequencies between 30 Hz and 5.8 GHz. Another last application of microchip antenna is in telemedicine application. So in telemedicine application, a microchip antennas operate at a 2.45 GHz. Operate at 2.45 GHz. And also another types of microchip antennas have been designing. These antennas, the latest microchip antennas are known as wearable microchip antennas. The wearable microchip antennas which are suitable for wireless body area networks. So wireless body area network, we are going to design a wearable microchip antennas where these microchip antennas are being induced into the body, induced into the wireless body area networks. So an antenna having a gain of 6.7 dB and a front to back ratio of 11.7 dB and resonating at 2.45 GHz is suitable for telemedicine applications. So for these requirements, the better option we are having is only the microchip antenna, right? So a microchip antenna, we get a gain of 6.7 dB and it will radiate at a frequency of 2.45 GHz and the FBR value is 11.7. Right? So for this, these are the primary requirements for telemedicine applications. So all these requirements can be satisfied only with the patch antenna or the microstrip antenna. So microstrip antenna is the best antenna for telemedicine applications, for global positioning applications, and also satellite communication applications. Right? So these are the three different types of applications where microstrip antennas are widely used. So here we shall conclude the session of this feeding methods of the microstrip antennas. So here the microstrip antenna feeding methods are of two types. One is a contacting feed method. The other one is the non-contacting feed method. So in contacting method, there are again divided into two types. So in contacting, there are again divided into two types. One is the microstrip and the other one is coaxial feed. The micro feed system and the other one is coaxial feed system. So in the micro feed system, again there are categorized into four types. One is the center feed system. The other one is offset feed system. The other one is inset feed system. The other one is a quarter wave transmission line feeding system. So these are the four different types of micro feed system. And there is another system known as coaxial feed system. And there is another method which is known as non-contacting, where the RF input power is not given directly. The RF input power is given to the patch in an indirect method by means of two methods. One is aperture coupled. The other one is proximity coupled feed. The other one is proximity coupled feed. Right, so these are the different methods of feeding methods of microstrip antennas. And the different types of applications are communication-based applications, satellite-based applications, in global positioning applications, and also in the telemedicine applications. We are going to use these microstrip antennas. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.